It's nature of the world to always be on the stronger side. Very few have the courage to stand against the strongest one. The same happened with Italy, when they became an ally with the Germans. When Italy came to know that the Battle of France was on the verge of ending and almost won by Germany, Mussolini, the Italian Prime Minister, wrongly concluded that the war was over and it was better to support the winner to share the spoils and to remain in power. In return, he expected from Hitler to support him in establishing the new Roman Empire. He had strong sympathy for Hitler and Nazi ideology. Mussolini officially entered the war on the side of Germany on the 10th of June 1940, with the fall of France imminent. When Germany invaded Poland in 1939, which resulted in declaration of war by France and the United Kingdom and the start of World War II. He was aware that Italy did not have the military capacity and resources to carry out a long war with the British Empire, so it's better to stand beside Germany. Yet another reason to support Germany is that Mussolini's ideology is not very different from that of Hitler. He had a dictatorship mentality by birth. He was a fascist dictator of Italy from 1925 to 1945. Which means that one dictator has complete control of the entire country, state, or territory. So, Italian people has left no more choices rather than supporting Germany, because their leader wanted them to. If we see clearly and deeply in this matter, it concluded that Adolf Hitler used Mussolini's established system to model his Nazi form of dictatorship. But as the war progressed, Italy turned more and more into a Nazi client state that was hardly useful at all militarily. But Italy was a burden to the Germans and nothing more, because they kept starting wars they couldn't win, and the Germans had to divert troops and ships they desperately needed in Russia and the Atlantic to North Africa, which made no sense strategically with the power of the British Navy in the Mediterranean. With Italy's bungled attempt to attack the British in North Africa, Hitler sent Rommel and his forces to North Africa in February 1941 to try and salvage the situation. Then a few months later, Hitler sent troops to Greece to help Italy in their hopeless attack there against Greek and British defenders. These actions delayed Operation Barbarossa to late June 1941 and ultimately prevented war-matched troops on reaching their goals of 1941 in the Soviet Union. The hundreds of thousands of troops devoted to North Africa, Greece, the Balkans, Sicily, and the Italian mainland could have been used to conquer the Soviet Union. Germany would have been better off if Italy was a neutral friend like Spain. But Mussolini's plan was different. He thought backing Germany would get Italy more territory. Beating up on poor helpless countries with the help of Germany in Africa is one thing. But gaining industrial and military powers like the UK and the United States is something totally different. Mussolini believed that after the imminent French ceasefire, Italy could gain territorial concessions from France, and then he could concentrate his forces on a major offensive in North Africa, where British and Commonwealth forces were outnumbered by Italian forces. However, the UK government refused to accept proposals for peace that would involve accepting Axis victories in Eastern and Western Europe. Plans for an invasion of the UK did not proceed, and the war continued. In the summer of 1941, Mussolini sent Italian forces to participate in the invasion of the Soviet Union, and war with the United States followed. In December, Mussolini invented modern fascism and the blueprint for it to come to power when Hitler admired and just copied him. Maybe there would not have been a Hitler without Mussolini. Unfortunately for Hitler, once he got to power, Mussolini just sat behind Germans, believing to gain something, but he was an empty shirt and coward, and Mussolini's military ended up to be a massive rock around the Nazis' neck. They had similar ideologies and common goals. Nazi and fascism is very similar. They both hated socialism and communism and wanted to destroy both. The communists and social democrats They both wanted to destroy the colonial powers so they could take them over and create empires. The Italian dictator Benito Mussolini was aware that fascist Italy was not ready for a long conflict, as its resources were reduced by successful pre-UE conflicts, pacification of Libya, intervention in Spain, and invasion of Ethiopia and Albania. If in this situation they decided to fight against Germany, Italy would have not existed today. The alliance between them is called the Axis Alliance, and they had two common interests: territorial expansion and foundation of empires based on military conquest and the overthrow of the post-World War I international order, and the destruction or neutralization of Soviet communism. Both Hitler and Mussolini had warm spots for each other. That's all that really matters when the governments are similar and one man runs the country. The history of Italy in the Second World War is full of controversies, which was characterized above all by numerous defeats and by the collapse in September 1943 of the political military apparatus of the state as a result of the improvisation with which the country was involved in the war, of the inexperience of the political and military hierarchies, and of the weakness of the economic and social structure.